So listen, this might ruffle some feathers, but if my sister was moving to the area with kids and had a $400,000 to $500,000 budget, there are some areas that I would pause before I would recommend these areas to her. Not because of who lives there, not because of stereotypes, but because of crime rates, infrastructure, school performance, and long-term resale risk. And if you're a relocating family, that stuff matters. Look, I'm not here to sell you on a specific zip code. I'm here to protect your investment and your kids. What's happening, everybody? This is Vaughn Greathouse, your local West Michigan real estate agent. This is Live Great TV, and I am the official host of Living Great in Grand Rapids and the West Michigan area. Like I said, my name is Vaughn, and I want to help you as a licensed real estate agent make the best move you can out to the West Michigan area. So my number, my email, they'll be on the screen throughout this video. So feel free to get in touch with me. All right, now there are going to be three major things I want to go over in this video, just so you have a heads up. Number one is going to be the consistent crime and safety trends. Number two is going to be school performance and stability. And number three is going to be infrastructure and long-term investment risks. First thing I want to go over is going to be consistent crime and safety trends. I'm not looking at, any specific type of people. The main thing I'm looking at are the crime rates. And if I'm looking online, I want to know what the stats are saying to help guide me in the direction that I personally would want to go. And I look at consistent trends. I don't look at one bad year. I don't look at one bad headline. I'm talking about repeat crime trends. Things like violent crime versus property crime rates, repeat patterns over the last 3 to 5 years, proximity to high density rental corridors, police response times when they're available. These are things that are really important as what I'm using to decide what areas that I want to be in or what areas I recommend. I have family members that move to who trust me as someone who's an advocate and knows the area. Parts of Southeast Grand Rapids come to mind as far as some of the trends that are out there and what some of the statistics are showing. I'm talking about south of Burton Street near Division Avenue. If you're looking on crime rates, you're looking these things up, these are important to you, you will see that historically they have higher crime reports compared to the city averages, higher density housing and older rental properties, some blocks improving, others really not. And then investment varies street to street. So you'll have some areas on the southeast side that are being revamped and changed. I know they have a lot of Habitat for Humanity investors going out there because they can get a good deal and turn their properties around to try to help these neighborhoods. So in some people's eyes, these are fantastic opportunities, and some people might watch this video in a completely different light to know where they're going to put their next investment to have a great return depending on the trends in those areas. And some people want nothing to do with them. All I'm looking at are the stats to be able to tell you which areas are doing what things. So now, does that mean that every house on the southeast side is bad? No, but safety and appreciation are your top priorities. I'd carefully look at these and compare data before you decide. Another area is going to be portions of Muskegon Heights. Now, Muskegon Heights is near Muskegon, which is in a different city, but it is also known around, the locals and known around statistically that the crime rates are a little higher. Things like long-standing economic challenges. Back in the day in the 70s, Muskegon was one of the best places to be in West Michigan, but it's changed over the years. A lot of industrial property. There's things like those long-term economic changes, lower property values, slower appreciation. So people that are looking in the Muskegon area, I always recommend the Kalamazoo area as well, because they have lower price points, people who want to be under that $250 range. I remember back in the day, people could get a really nice property for $200,000, and those days are long gone. But at the same time, if you want to be under that $200,000 mark, places like Muskegon, places like Kalamazoo, these are different areas that you can get cheaper properties that you can build equity into, or you can go into an area and just try to make it nicer if that's where you want to be. Now, the crime rates are higher than the state average out in the Muskegon Heights area. School ratings are historically lower. Now, there is a lot of improvement going into the Muskegon area. I can't go without saying that. They're putting tons and tons of money to revamp, turn it around, draw outside investors, draw outside people to the lakeshore, because actually the location is prime. I spent a lot of time in Muskegon going to places like the Deck or going out to Grand Haven or Spring Lake or Fruitport. These are all great areas that you want to get familiar with because there are a lot of new developments going on out there. You can get a great deal on a lake property if you're thinking Muskegon. These are good things about the Muskegon area. Muskegon Heights are just one of those areas that is just slower to develop, and the crime rates are not as favorable as some people like. Now, the low price doesn't always mean a better deal. Sometimes it means slower growth and harder resales. If there's a property that's on the market, it's probably going to be on there for a while, depending on the location. There are pockets, different areas there that don't have the same type of feel, and that's a good thing to know when you're going into the Muskegon area. All right, the next topic I want to talk about is school performance and stability. Now, when it comes to schools, and if they're your number one priority, and for most relocating families, schools are pretty important, you have to look at performance metrics, graduation rates, and district stability in order to make an informed decision. Now, an area that sticks out to me when it comes to school districts quite often is going to be Wyoming. Wyoming City and Wyoming School District. They have 8 different school districts within one city, and that's a really big deal as people are deciding on what school district do I go to, what area am I going to land in, and not all of them are bad, not all of them are great. So that's the thing about it. When you're thinking of Wyoming, you have places like Granville School Districts that is inside of Wyoming, yet there's other parts and pockets of Wyoming that have like Godwin Heights or Wyoming Park. These are different areas in the Wyoming School District that you must dig into, find out where you are, where the lay of the land is. And that's why I love helping folks to get a feel for which areas are going to best suit them based on their lifestyle, so I can give my best recommendations so that they have a sure shot and they feel great about the decisions to move to any of these areas. So some things to keep in mind are some elementary schools, they rate lower than surrounding school districts in Wyoming. There's a mixed performance across the district as far as some of the schools that are out there, and certain pockets are much stronger than others. Keep that in mind to know where you are, what school district you want to be in, and just do your research. And just by you watching this video, watching videos like this, is already putting you in the best possible position. Now, Wyoming is extremely block to block, and there are perfectly fine areas, but if you move blindly without checking specific school zones, you could miss out on something really important, and that means a lot. Another area I would like to talk about is going to be some parts of Kentwood, near their older sections near 28th Street corridor, where there's a lot of traffic, a lot of movement going around. There's some really great developments like Crystal Springs. A lot of people really love being in that area. But then again, on the other side, you get closer to 44th, you have older communities, you have older homes. You really want to make sure that these are on the forefront as you're deciding on what school district. East Kentwood schools are usually really great school districts, but at the same time, you got to know that the culture, the things that those people are doing suit your lifestyle, suit your family's lifestyle, and you're in good shape. Some other things to keep in mind about the Kentwood area is that there are high traffic corridors. So being along 28th Street, you're getting a lot of traffic, a lot of commercial buildings that are out there, a lot of commercialized places like such as Applebee's or Costco's or your Sam's Clubs or your Trader Joe's. Things like that are all pretty much commercialized down there. Your Whole Foods, everything is all on 28th Street. So that's keeping in mind, because you get a lot of traffic going in and out, a lot of people just settling in because it's right there and it's convenient. But just keep in mind, as you're moving in those areas, there are some older homes, and that's always something to keep in mind whenever you're putting an offer in on something, or if you're looking to move in that area specifically. What are some of the things to look out for in these homes? Another thing I do like to point out is going to be noise and your resale variability. So if you're on 28th Street, you know that it can get loud. There's a lot of traffic through there. There's a lot of noise, trucks, semi-trucks, fire trucks, paramedics, things like that going on all the time, police sirens and things like that. Just knowing where you are and where the lay of the land is going to give you a leg up as you're deciding. Now, I've put together a PDF guide to show you exactly what those specifics are. So if you're interested in moving to the area or just coming to visit, you're going to get a good dose of what that transition is like coming to the West Michigan area. Now, it's not about Kentwood being good or bad. It's about knowing which parts give you long-term stability. That's a big deal as you're deciding on what's your lifestyle like. I know some people that love it when it's busier out, so they like to see movement. I know some people that don't want to be close to anybody. They don't even want any neighbors. So that's also another route or another way that you could look at this as far as where do you fit on that spectrum. We can decide from there. All right, now the last thing I want to talk about as far as someone moving in, what I want to give a heads up on my sister, if she's coming with her kids and things like that, these are really important. You have older aging sewer systems in some of these areas. As far as the northeast side, southwest side, northwest side, you just have to know where you're moving in these areas and what the update and what the age of your mechanicals are, so that way you can make a sound decision. And sometimes those are used as bargaining pieces in a negotiation for getting the best deal on a house. The next thing are going to be the flood zones. Hear a lot of people talking about Grand Rapids and how it can be a flood zone or flood area, or you hear about floods in Grand Rapids near the Grand River. You want to know if you have flood insurance, what that's going to look like if you need it, how to safeguard your home. These are all really important parts that I always talk to a lot of the buyers that come into the area to say, hey, these are some of the boxes we need to be checking as we're deciding on what location is going to best suit you. Because you might come up on a really great deal on a house and you just ultimately want to know what those precautions are so you can do the right thing and make the right move before you go ahead and sign on the dotted line. Another thing I want to bring up are going to be foundation issues in older housing stock. So if you have older foundations, you see sometimes you see cracks on the wall, or sometimes you see cracks in the basement. These are things to really keep in mind because, like I said, you can use those as a bargaining piece to maybe have that basement seen and redone by a professional. I've had that happen with clients a lot, bracing the walls, reinforcing a lot of the walls, fixing a lot of the infrastructure of the property itself. These are things that are really important as you're deciding in these areas, because some of these locations have these items in them that you need to address ahead of time if you want long-term stability. The next thing is going to be industrial adjacent. They always say in real estate, it's location, location, location. If you're next to a big factory or they're making noise at 3 a.m. when you got to work at 6 a.m., it's probably not the best place to move if that's something that's important to you. Or if you can sleep through it, no big deal. At least you had a heads up and you knew it was there. These are important items as you're thinking about trains coming through, if you're thinking about planes flying over your head. These are all great things to keep in mind. I know in the Kentwood area, it's not far from the Gerald R. Ford International Airport, where there are planes coming in and out all the time. So that's something to keep in mind as you're deciding. So is Cascade, so is Ada. These are areas that are near the airport that you're like, I know some people just, they want nothing to do with it. To other people, they could care less. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but these are things to know ahead of time as you're getting your feel for what's going to be the best situation for you. The last thing is future development plans. If there are future development plans as far as new schools coming in, they're building a factory here, they're building new entertainment here, they're building children's programs over here. These are things to keep in mind as you're deciding to know what the best situation is going to be, to know the future plans for that. And what I can do is actually put up a map of some of the long-term plans that they have, just so you know exactly what the neighborhood associations are, things that are happening in these areas. These are all really big deals as you're deciding. Now, some areas are rapidly appreciating. We saw some areas in Grand Rapids go double, even up to double-digit appreciation, and that was really great for the sellers. But now as you're looking for, as a buyer, these are things to keep in mind, that you're paying the higher price point, so it's best to get a good deal on a property when you're out, and it's all in the negotiation as you're deciding. Yeah, those are things I want to keep in mind as far as now the Northwest side. Now there's portions of the West side that I got to talk about in Grand Rapids because there are some industrial adjacent properties. Now, if you're on the West side of Grand Rapids, there are different factories. There are different commercial properties. I know that Baker's Furniture was out there, American Seating, the train tracks, Bridge Street is out that way. There's a lot of industrial area that you may be moving near, and that's the thing to keep in mind. But then you have areas like Richmond Park, which are awesome. I have some clients that moved out to that area and they absolutely love it. Very peaceful, but you just have to know the lay of the land. I'll put a little map up so you can see some of the areas. Maybe you can screenshot that to see some of the neighborhood association, what things are going on out there, floodplain considerations in certain sections. These are all great items to keep in mind as you're moving into these areas that are going to best suit you. Now, I don't want my family next to a heavy truck area or moving semi trucks in and out, or I don't want them to be around future zoning changes. Like if it's all going to be zoned industrial or commercial, I don't want them to have to deal with that and have everything changing around them and they don't need to move. These are really important items to keep in mind as you're deciding. All right, now in closing, what I'm going to say is every city has its pockets. It has its weaker pockets and its stronger pockets. And the mistake that families make are assuming that price equals safety. It doesn't. The mistake that people who are relocating make is that they assume if it looks nice on Zillow equals long-term stability, and that's not always the case. So by reaching out, my number, my email on the screen right now, get in touch with me. Find out what areas are going to best suit you and your lifestyle. I always tell people to have your must-haves, your 3 biggest must-haves on a list, and let's talk about those as you're deciding. And that'll make you a lot more prepared for when you do arrive, what areas you need to check out, what areas you need to cross off your list that you've heard about, and make the best bang for your buck, get the most out of your trip or your visit, your move here as you're coming in. So that's pretty much it. If you're moving here with a $350,000 to $500,000 budget and you have kids and schools are important to you, you need a street by street plan, not just a zip code. And if you want my opinion about a house or anything like that before making an offer, book a strategy call, go on the screen, give me a call, text me, email me. I've helped tons of families move out to the West Michigan area and I would love to help you too. So feel free. I'm a normal guy, cool guy. Just want to help you make the best decision for you and your family as you go forward. And honestly, I'd rather hurt your feelings than let you hurt your family's future. And that's just where I stand with it. So with that being said, that's it. That's the video. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Stay in touch with me as you're deciding because I want to continue to put these videos out for you to help your move the best move possible. So with that being said, again, for things to do and sights to see, this is Live Great TV and I am the official host of Living Great in Grand Rapids and the West Michigan area. My name is Vaughn Greathouse, and until next time, we will see you on the next video.